This week's parasha Katz, we read about Pharaoh the dreamer. By the way, Genesis is full of dreamers. We have Avimelech, we have Lavan, we have Yaakov, we have Yosef, the butler, the baker. They're all dreamers. So I think it's a good time to ask a simple question. In Judaism, do we believe in dreams? You see, most of us have a complex relationship with dreams. We've had dreams that felt so real. They felt like some sort of divine communication. Many of us have even acted based on our dreams. And yet, at the same time, most of us at least, have the basic assumption that dreams, they're just imaginations running wild as we sleep, and that they're not reality and we should dismiss them. By the way, this complexity is also reflected in the way we use the term dreaming. We'll say to a person, "You're dreaming," when we want to tell him that he's losing his grip on reality. But then we'll also say, "I have a dream," to talk about things that we aspire to, things that we believe that can really be achieved. So we're left wondering, is there a way to navigate and to know which dreams are real and which one we should dismiss? Is there a way to know which dreams we can interpret and say to ourselves, this is the meaning of it, or do we need a Joseph by our side? And the truth is, it's a very lengthy and a big topic in Judaism. So we'll try and explain it in a nutshell, just an overview. One of the places to look would perhaps be the Torah, be the Bible, because the Bible is full of stories of dreams. And if we're to look in the Bible, this week's parasha would perhaps be the most important place, because of all of the dreams described in the Torah, the dream of Pharaoh is with the most detail. The Torah tells us that he saw 7 skinny cows swallowing 7 fat cows. Then there were 7 thin ears of wheat swallowing 7 healthy ears of wheat. And Pharaoh has a whole team of interpreters and they're part of his staff, and yet they're unable to satisfactorily interpret his dream. Only Yosef, who is exceedingly wise and blessed with divine insight, only he is able to make sense of this dream. What does this teach us? This highlights the first problem with deriving meaning from dreams. Just because a certain dream may have meaning, it does not mean that we know its meaning. Dream interpretation is a very complex art, and even the professionals can get it wrong, as we see with Pharaoh's advisors. Another problem we have when trying to learn something from the dreams in Genesis is that for while Genesis tells the stories of a number of deeply meaningful dreams, we have to remember that there is a confirmation bias present in this sample. And why? You see, during the era of the events that the Torah covers, there would have been many millions of dreamers that dreamt all kinds of dreams, and the Torah tells us nothing about these dreams. And for all we know, there may have been nonsense, there may have been nothing significant in those dreams. So the fact that the Torah chooses to talk about a few meaningful dreams, it's only a tiny minority of the dreams of the general. It doesn't teach us anything. So therefore, perhaps the Bible is not a good place, and we have to go to the Talmud. Maybe the Talmud can shed some light on our question. So the Talmud indeed tells us the following. The Talmud in Tractate Brachot, page 57, says that dreaming is 1/60th of prophecy. What does that mean? In other words, dreams on the one hand cannot be compared to prophetic transmissions which are full and accurate. Dreams are only 1/60th in detail and accuracy. At the same time, dreams can't be dismissed and say batel b'shishim, i.e. they're not relevant and should be nullified. Rather, dreams are considered significant and meaningful. In addition, the Talmud also gives us a list of things that if we see them in a dream, we should know that this is the meaning. So the Talmud says having a haircut, or ascending a roof, entering a forest, seeing certain animals, a donkey, a rooster, elephant. It has meaning, and the Talmud tells what it is. Obviously, we don't have time here. The Talmud also introduces the concept of Tanit Chalom, which is fasting after a bad, negative dream. And sometimes it's even allowed on Shabbat. So all of this indicates that the Talmud is telling us that dreams have a significance and they should be taken seriously. On the other hand, the Talmud also tells us that people are only shown in their dreams the products of their own thoughts. So for example, the Talmud shares the following story. The Roman emperor once said to Rabbi Shimon Hananiah, "You Jews claim to be so wise. Tell me then, what am I going to see in my dream tonight?" Rabbi Shimon replied the following. He said, "You will see the Persians, who are his big enemy, capture and enslave you. They're going to force you to a herd of pigs with a golden staff." The emperor thought about this vision all day, And at night, that's what he saw in his dream. Now, what does this teach us? This story seems to dismiss the validity of dream. And actually, the Talmud itself in Tractate Sanhedrin says, Divrei chalomot lo ma'alim velo moridim. Contents of dreams are irrelevant. The prophet Zechariah too declares, Chalomot shav yedaberu. Dreams speak falsely. No, so what do? How do we reconcile these conflicting approaches? What does it leave us? Where do we go with this? So luckily, the Talmud answers that it actually depends. Are your dreams coming from an angel or are they coming from a demon? But what does that mean? So the first Chabad Rabbi, the Baal HaTanya, explains it in the most beautiful way. And he says that the key to resolving the conflicting Talmudic texts lies not in the content of the dream, but in determining the nature of the dreamer. You see, a mentally focused spiritual individual who is in constant control of his or her thoughts, and they focus them only on matters on Torah, they focus them on matters of spiritual growth. They don't allow their mind to wander aimlessly, and all their conscious thoughts are meaningful. So therefore, a person like that, it's actually reasonable to assume that the same applies at their nighttime dreams, and they're also meaningful. They're not just a product of their wandering imagination. And therefore, it's probably that their dreams are coming from an angel, and it's a divine communication, and it has valid information. However, says the Baal HaTanya, for a person whose mind, it wanders all over the place during the day, and their mind is beyond their own control, for such people, dreams can't be taken seriously. Because in all likelihood, the source of such a person's dream is their own wandering mind. It's not meaningful. It's like it's from a demon. There's nothing serious about it. And especially today, when the mind-wandering condition has become amplified by our brains being exposed to TV, phones, social media, etc. So, where does this leave us? When a person may say, okay, I understand it's coming from here or from there, but I had a bad dream and I feel it's coming from the right place. I feel it's a divine communication. I may be a mind-wandering person, but I still feel something very significant about this dream. So the Talmud tells us, even for such a person, there's a solution. And that's a prayer, which is said during the Kohanim blessing. And that helps us sweeten such a dream. In addition, the Talmud also says elsewhere, Kol hachalomot olchim achar hapeh. Every interpretation, whatever you say and you interpret the dream, that's what will be. And based on that, the Lubavitcher Rebbe encouraged many people who had a bad dream to actually interpret it in a positive way. And the Rebbe said, if you say it's good, it will be good. And especially the Rebbe said, interpret it that it means that you need to do more mitzvot, to study more Torah. The Rebbe went further and the Rebbe said that actually it's better to prevent bad dreams to begin with. And the Rebbe said that by putting a mezuzah on our doors and saying the bedtime Shema will prevent us from having a bad dream to begin with. So this is a general overview of Judaism's approach to dreams. But since today is Hanukkah, let's conclude with one final point about dreams that actually relates to the deeper meaning of why we even celebrate Hanukkah. And this is the Kabbalistic interpretation. You see, the mystics teach us that the symbolism of a dream is the ability to triumph amidst darkness, the power to persevere in a hostile environment. And why? Because just as in a dream where opposites can coexist, similarly in exile, the Jews have suffered on the one hand and at the very same time influenced the world tremendously. Scattered amongst the nations of the world, we've left a mark of holiness and progress. It's a paradoxical reality. It's a dream. So on Hanukkah, we're meant to remember that exile is not merely negativity. Rather, it's also an opportunity. Exile, in its contradictoriality, is designed, like a dream, to contain both extremes. And Hanukkah therefore reminds us that we must embrace the dream of exile as our calling. And please God, by kindling another flame each and every day, gradually we increase the light. We will merit to make up one day very soon in a world that is truly and exclusively bright. Shir HaMa'alot B'Shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion Hayinu Kecholmim. Wishing you a Shabbat Shalom and a happy Hanukkah.